Hi, my name is Rose. Thank you for joining me for 3 practices you can do to support you during this full moon. The full moon is January 3rd, and it is in the sign of Cancer. This is an opportunity to teach us about our feelings, our emotions, and our home state. The full moon in Cancer, well, Cancer is about our inner sanctuary. It's about developing a sense of feeling comfortable being at home in our bodies. This means we need to step into a place of honoring, welcoming our feelings and our emotions rather than pushing them away. Our feelings, our emotions, well, they can teach us. There's a lot of wisdom there, and they can teach us and help guide our intuition. So the first practice I'd like to share with you is Purna Hrdaya Mudra. This is a pretty simple mudra, and it is the gesture that helps us to welcome our feelings and our emotions. So bring your hands in front of your heart. You're going to bring the thumbs to touch and the fingers to touch, and then fold your fingers down so that the knuckles are touching and the tips of the thumbs continue to touch, and well, you've just made a heart. It's the old school way of making a heart, not the new school way of making that heart. Rest your shoulders down, rest your elbows down, let your eyes soften. And we'll take some deep breaths here. This mudra is the invitation to welcome feelings, emotions, and thoughts. There's a lot of time in our lives where we push away what we're feeling, we push away what we're thinking because we just don't have time. Don't beat yourself up for pushing those things away. It's pretty natural. And we're taking a moment, we're taking breaths, we're taking some of that time back to nourish ourselves by feeling what we feel. Welcoming whatever is arising in this moment, any feeling that is arising. And as you welcome this feeling, you can take a moment to dialogue with it. Ask this feeling, of all the places in the world that you could be right now, why are you here with me? And then let that feeling answer. Receive the wisdom of your feelings. Let's take 3 more breaths here, welcoming whatever comes. And when you finish your 3rd breath, release your hands, let the palms rest open. Let the eyes continue to remain soft as you breathe. Now, of course, we just took a very short foray into that mudra. So use it again this evening, use it again on the full moon. Spend a little time with that mudra. And one of the things you might ponder, you might ask, that you might journal about is, what was serving you in 2025 that's no longer serving you in 2026? What emotions or feeling states served you last year that you would like to leave in 2025? And what do you want to plant and carry forward into 2026? The second pose I want to share with you is Balasana, or child's pose. To get into child's pose, come to your mat. If you can sit on your heels, great. If not, come to a table position. We'll bring the big toes to touch, bringing the knees wider apart than the hips, or even as wide apart as the mat. Take a big breath in here, and then exhale. Press your hips back towards your heels. Release your forehead towards the mat. Let your eyes be soft, and breathe. If you wish, you can take your arms alongside your lower legs, resting and breathing. Continue to breathe here in your version of child's pose. Child's pose continues this theme of listening to the heart, and it adds to it nourishment. Here we are resting and supporting our bodies. We're coming home to listen to the cave of the heart. If you wish to this practice, you can add the soothing sound of the lips closed, maybe the teeth are even touching, maybe rocking back and forth across your forehead. We'll do this 3 times. And then from here, remembering you can stay longer if you want to. You can use this as often as you need. Use your hands to gently press underneath your shoulders to support yourself, coming into an upright position for our 3rd practice. Our 3rd practice is Viparita Karani, and for this, you'll need a blanket. I'm going to take this blanket and I'm going to fold it in thirds. You'll notice I already have my mat set up against the wall. You could use a chair for this. You could also use the couch. Use a chair or a couch if you don't have the space, and if your hamstrings, the backs of your thighs, are really tight. To get your blanket set up, we want to fold it into thirds. So when you have it folded into thirds, you've got a nice tight fold here, and it's also long. This is going to go next to the wall or the couch. And I've got about 6 inches, 8 inches of space between the blanket and the wall. Now, this is the hardest part of this practice. You're going to come all the way next to the wall. I'm bringing my hip to touch the wall. And then with an exhale, I'm going to swing my legs up as I lower down onto my back. Now, if you're further away from the wall, which is normal, use your elbows and wiggle, worm your way to the wall. That blanket is supporting your hips, but you want the pelvis to drop. So if you don't have normal range of motion in the hips, which is 90 degrees without feeling a stretch in the backs of the legs, move yourself away from the wall so that the angle at your hips is greater than 90 degrees. Here, I'm dropping my tailbone, releasing through the pelvis, letting my legs be heavy on the hips and on the pelvis. Letting my arms rest open or hands on the abdomen. The reason this elevation of the hips is so important is that it puts our body into its natural alignment. It allows the lumbar curvature to remain. When our body is in its natural position of alignment, everything can flow. It's called reverse process because all of that fluid starts to drain from the legs and pool in the abdomen, where we will then release it. The general guideline for this pose is 20 minutes. I'm not going to lead you through 20 minutes, but you get the idea. Resting the hands open, my eyes are soft. This pose is important for our full moon in Cancer practice because it invites nourishment and balance to the nervous system. The first thing that reacts is our nervous system, and it can react with the calm brain response, but most often it reacts with the stressed brain response. This pose supports us in coming back to that calm brain response. Depending on what you need, you will leave this pose either feeling energized or even sleepier. And if you leave feeling sleepier, that's a sign that your body is asking for more practice, more rest. So to release from this pose, feel free to remain here as long as you'd like. Revisit this as often as you'd like. But to release, you can give yourself a couple of stretches, like bringing your legs wide or soles of the feet together, dropping the knees open. Eventually bending the knees to roll to one side, taking a fetal position. And then using the support of your top arm to press yourself up. We can revisit our mudra here if you'd like, Purna, Hrdaya mudra. Or maybe you're feeling ripe for the practice of setting intention and journaling. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.